Hello and welcome to this episode of Wise Human. Today I have with me Jen Cole. She is a singer, songwriter, and actress in the Metro Detroit area. Well, she's based in Metro Detroit, but she has toured internationally and performs locally as well. Welcome, Jen.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you here. We met at a wedding. I saw her perform at a wedding and I was like, I need to meet this woman. That was so inspiring.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Yeah, I had fun at that wedding.
It was a good time, definitely. So I'm curious, what is something that you could tell me or tell anybody listening that doesn't know anything about you? What's something that they should know, that we should know about you?
Hmm. Something that they should know. I am a very, I might not come off that way, but I'm very humble and down to earth and a little bit shy sometimes. Most people, when I tell them that, they're like, no, you're not. But like, I really am shy sometimes. A lot of times I'm very quiet when I'm meeting new people because I'm just trying to kind of feel out the energy and get a vibe. But yeah, but some people don't think I'm a shy person, but I actually am a shy person. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that because sometimes it goes into my music and the things I talk about. So you'll kind of see that.
Are you an
But yeah.
introvert by nature or an extrovert?
So what is it? Omnivert, but I think the older I get, the more of an introvert I'm realizing I am.
Mhm.
um, I thought after COVID that would show me that I was more of an extrovert, but I think just lately I've been figuring out like I love spending my time alone. I like kind of being to myself. I mean, I love people. I have friends, but for the most part, I'm happy with myself. Like I'll go to the movies by myself. Most people are horrified of doing that. Like I'll do that. I don't care. I go to concerts by myself. So I think I'm enjoying my company more and more. So it might make me more of an introvert now.
Mhm. Yeah.
But
I- Is that a trait you've always had, like where you would just go to the movies or dinner or wherever, take yourself wherever you want to go?
no, no, I actually had to get to that point. I was afraid to do that. And it's funny, the very first movie I went to by myself was I made the mistake of going to see like a romantic comedy on Sweetest Day.
Oh
And
no.
I don't know why I did this. Like I just went and I sat in the and I'm surrounded by couples and I'm just like, why did I do this? But that was the very first time, but I think because I was able to break the ice that way, I don't care now. So I'm just like, I'll go see a romantic comedy by myself. I don't care. But I think it's more so I enjoy my own company. And a lot of times if I'm ready to do something, I'm ready to do it right then and there. I don't like waiting on people. So yeah. But yeah, that's me. I enjoy my alone time. Like I
There's a
do.
lot of value in that.
Yeah. Yeah. I learn a lot. I learn a lot about myself and, just my um some things that I need to work on, some things that I'm good at. I think it's a really good place to be in where you can kind of sit back and reflect and you don't have, other energies kind of influencing, what's going on there. You know for a fact like this is me, these are my feelings and this is, it's me. Authentically me. So, but yeah.
What are some of the
Yeah.
things that you've learned by spending so much time by yourself?
Um that I am a huge overthinker.
Mm.
Huge.
Same, same. Not
Reason-
fun.
for no reason, just a huge overthinker. I had to get to the point where I started writing down my thoughts and, really, really listening to myself. Um, I will have moments where I do kind of sit and think and I'll read and I'll think about just how I am and how I deal with people, how I deal with relationships, some of the things that I do and want, whether they be good or bad. I'm I'm sitting back as a spectator at that point and kind of just seeing, how my mind operates. So just how I deal with people, like why did I get offended in this situation? Or why did I not do this in this situation? I'll have a lot of time to kind of sit back and just reflect on what kind of person I am or becoming. I'll say that. I've been able to see like there might be moments where like I might come off as insecure, or, things like that. But it's good that I'm able to see these things because then I can fix it. So I think a lot of times it just depends on whatever situation I'm pondering on. I can kind of learn like, wow, I tend to not communicate the way that I should, and I should work on that. Or um, I tend to not like listen fully and attentively the way that I should. So I need to work on this. And just I'll have moments like that. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, 'cause the distractions are gone, so you really get to kinda take back the layers and see the inside.
exactly. So yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. I love learning just about how my mind works, what might trigger me in some areas, what might not, just so I can kind of learn how to operate. I'll
Mhm,
say that, operate
mhm.
better. Mhm. So,
I'm sure that has an impact in your songwriting, I would imagine.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Because it teaches me to be, I think that is the area that through my acting and through my music is where I'm the most vulnerable. Um, I am a pretty down to earth person, so I'll connect with people and I'll kind of tell them about my woes, or things that I need to work on, lessons. But I think I am the most vulnerable when it comes to that. I know a lot of people or artists, they don't like to, you know, promote or give a story about a situation where they were the one in the wrong, or they were the one that didn't know better, or situations like that. But I'm getting to a point where in my music, that is the place where I let you know, like, hey, I was vulnerable here, or I didn't react in this situation the way that I should, but I'm learning, and I found out what I need to do. So a lot of people don't want to come off as looking bad, but I think those are the best places to show that, because you never know who can relate to that, or who can learn from what you've done, what your experience is. So yeah,
Yeah,
so it's constant learning process.
it's life, right? Like,
Yeah,
I feel like we're here to learn and grow, and then once we become enlightened and figure it all out, like, we leave our bodies because we don't need to be here anymore.
that's true. That is true. Yeah, but I definitely, and I feel like life goes so much better when you start to, kind of pick apart and look at yourself, and look at things like that, and reflect on things. I feel like life is better to deal with, because when we're not aware of certain things, we tend to get more angry. We'll blame things on people, but when we can sit back and reflect on things, and I think it just puts you in a better place mentally and spiritually. So you learn to let go of things, you learn to accept things, you kind of learn when to react to things if you need to react. So um yeah, so I haven't learned everything yet, but these are the things I'm learning as I go. So
Mhm. Yeah. And I appreciate you sharing about, being more open and vulnerable in your songs and sharing when you're wrong. Cause I think that there's such power in sharing our, not our downfalls, but like, our areas of work when we're wrong, to own up to our part in any situation versus running from it. That's where the growth really is. And then also, you have such a platform where you're sharing this with thousands of people and they see, "Oh, she's doing that. Okay. Maybe it is okay for me to talk about this too. Maybe I can talk to my friend about this or write a letter or whatever it is to own up and take responsibility for what they're going through."
mhm. Yeah, and it's a healing process. I feel like once you're able to do these things, and here I'll listen to other artists that, one of the artists I'm listening to currently, Jasmine Sullivan, and she has a whole album where she's talking about times where she didn't make the best decisions. She dealt with this guy and shouldn't have dealt with this guy, and went through it and struggled the whole time, but then finally got back on board and realized she was a better person after she learned this lesson, and she can move forward in a better way. So kind of hearing just how she broke down everything she went through, it's like, wow, I've gone through this stuff too. And many women have gone through this stuff too. So, or just people in general, they've gone through this stuff. The fact that she had the confidence to come out and say, she's dating some guy. And I mean, when it came down to it, she was only dating him. It was just lust. That's all it was. Everything else, he wasn't doing anything for her. It just wasn't a good union. Um, but she learned from it. And I think artists that do that and that are vulnerable like that, their music resonates with you more, and it just sticks with you more, and you're actually getting something from it. So, and
Mhm.
I believe it's important. So,
Yeah,
I,
because it's true and it's raw and it's human emotion. I mean, that's what this podcast is about too. Like, let's share the messy parts of us because that connects us. It really is like I've learned so I grew up where you sweep the emotions under the rug, you don't talk about things, you put on a happy face. And like I realized what a lack of connection that created in other relationships in my life because I wasn't allowing myself to be open and vulnerable and say like, "Hey, I'm scared or I'm worried or like I messed up. I fucked
yeah,
up."
yeah. And that's true. It's funny. I was just having a conversation with my best friend, and she was telling me about a guy that she's kind of dating right now, and I guess he wasn't pleased with. I guess she doesn't answer the phone enough, or she doesn't, text him back enough, like something little. But in my mind and in her mind, we figure, oh, okay, well, this is a grown man. If he has a problem, he'll just tell you. Keep going about your business. He'll tell you. And then she said, but I learned, it's the lesson that I learned was she decided I'm going to take a different approach because I think she had gotten that same comment from other guys that she had dated before. She said I'm going to take a different approach instead of just waiting around for him to say something. I notice his behavior is a little different. Let me come to him and ask like, hey, what's going on? What can I do? And of course that's when he told her what was going on. And that little thing she did was a lesson for her because me and her were thinking the same thing, like, oh, well, if he has a problem, he'll say something. But I think you just have to be a little bit more. She was being vulnerable at that moment. Like, no, let me break down and just ask him, let's communicate. And even within her asking him that, that showed him that like, hey, like I want this to work. I want this to be better. What can I do to make this better? And just a little lesson like that made me think about my own relationships. Sorry about the bell. I live next door to a church. So you might hear the bell at the top of the hour, but that's okay. Um, so it made me think about, my own relationships, how I'll have this mentality that like, okay, everything's good. If they have a problem, they'll say something. I'm not really trying to like read their emotions or anything. It's just like, oh, they'll just say something. I'll just go about my business. But in all reality, like you have to pay attention to that person. Like even just caring about what they like, what they don't like, and just paying attention to their energy when it switches, and being humble enough to just come like, hey, well, what can we do? What's wrong? Instead of just assuming everything's fine or assuming like, oh, they're going to say something. Everything I'm doing is fine. They're going to say something if they have a problem. So just that little situation with her made me think about my own way of dealing with things. Just being more vulnerable and open and just talking things out instead of just assuming that, I've got my stuff together. I'm not really doing anything wrong. So he'll come to me if something's wrong. So this just happened. So, but yeah,
It's fresh. Yeah. Yeah, it takes 2. It takes 2 and, not everybody is as ready to open up and share those things, but having somebody come to you that you care about and that's asking you like, "Hey, something's off," like that creates the safe space. Okay, now I can share this.
yeah. Because at one point, I was like you said, like just sweep it under the rug. I'm like, oh, well, there's a problem. They'll say something. Like I didn't like uncomfortable situations. I also one thing I realized in my alone time is I'm someone that doesn't like conflict either. So that made me start paying attention to the way I handle a lot of situations beforehand because I don't like conflict. I probably won't say anything to you. I'll just kind of wait for things to kind of blow over and go about my life. And the whole time you could be having a whole episode and I wouldn't even know. 'Cause I don't really want to confront anything. So a lot of lessons I'm still learning. But yeah.
How have you stepped into that lesson?
Ah,
Confrontation, are you leaning into it now, or are you still kind of figuring that one out?
Slightly leaning into it. A friend of mine, and it took a while for me to kind of lean into it, but a friend of mine, I guess he was very stressed and he was dealing with a situation. We were working on a project and he raised his voice at me. So at the time, I was like, well, this is uncomfortable. Let me just keep working. I'll handle this later. So we finished the session. And after that, I kind of let him know, like, hey, I wasn't comfortable with the way that you addressed me in this situation. And he is mature enough of a person where, he said, well, I apologize for that. I didn't realize that was happening. I'll be sure to keep an eye on my, tone when I'm talking to you. So, I mean, I could have easily just kind of let it go and not said anything, but now I'm more open to letting you know, like if I have a problem with something, letting you know that, because how else are you going to fix anything? um with that same friend, I kind of have certain situations where if I don't like something, I'll make sure I'll say something about it, and then we can talk it out, and we can only get better from there. So slowly but surely, I'm becoming better at addressing confrontation, because it's important. It's needed in some situations to work out issues. And if I'm just silent, I mean, what issues are going to be worked out? Nothing's going to change. So
Mhm. And
yeah,
chances are, like, that situation you just described, the person doesn't even know necessarily that they crossed a boundary with you.
exactly. So it's important to make your voice heard. And I think that situation alone just let me know that as well. So, but yeah, yeah, still learning.
Who was Jen as a kid, as a little girl? What did she like to do?
Then as a kid, let's see, I was very gullible. I'll say that. I was a fun kid though, fun, gullible, innocent. I was to myself. I was in my thoughts a lot. I will say that. I have a brother, but we kind of dealt with our own selves and our, like, we just shut the door and we'd be in our room, and of course my imagination would be going wild with Barbies and McDonald's toys and making soap operas and writing, playing the piano. And so I was a very creative child, a very fun child, I will say that. But I did say to myself a lot back then. I had to kind of realize that, like, well, I've always been a loner. But yeah, I was a very fun, creative, quirky kid. I think I tried my hand at songwriting when I was like 11. Um, I wrote like a little song, like a half of a song, um, and I started getting into that. But I think I was a very fun, creative kid. I will say that.
Do you
Big.
remember the song you go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, big imagination. Yeah, the song that I wrote. What was it? I think I only remember the chorus. My mother is she's into the arts as well, and she would always talk about this movie that she wanted to create, because she one of her dreams was to become a Disney animator. So she created like this idea and this script for an animated movie that she wanted to come out with. And I figured, I was like, okay, well, maybe I can write a song for that. But the only part of it I remember is the chorus. But it was about, I guess people succeeding, and it was a basketball team and a bunch of kids that were on this basketball team, like one of those coming of age movies. And um, how did it go? I believe in dreams of gold, precious stories kept untold, dreams of wonder and dreams of peace, eternal thoughts for the mind to feast. Yes, indeed. But I think that was the chorus. Yeah, but it was about
That was
dreams.
beautiful. Thank you.
Thank
I didn't know I was gonna be serenaded today.
uh, let's try to remember the lyrics to that song. I was 11 when I wrote it, so
That's beautiful.
thank
That's
you.
I mean, to write that, like, your first song, that's talented, like, you just had that ability.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I just kind of listened to like what the points that my mother and the points that she was trying to make in the movie itself, and like kind of like what the main motivating goal was. And I listened to the story and I was like, okay, well, these are about dreams coming true and believing in yourself, believing in your dreams and making it happen. So that's the aspect. Well, that's where I came from with it. So, but yeah.
So after you wrote your first song at 11, how long was it until you wrote your next song? Were you, like, off to the races then, or did it kinda just fade out?
No, it faded out because I never finished the song. So I have a lot of unfinished songs where I'll just write down thoughts or it'll start as a poem and I'll turn it into a chorus or but I didn't really start writing songs. Ooh, I didn't start writing songs until college. College. It took me a while to get back into it. Because for a while I didn't really believe in it the way I should have. And then, I kind of let acting take over and I let my art, because I draw too, I let that take over. And I didn't really get back into the music thing until college. So, but yeah. I wish I had stuck around and did it, from that point on. I'd probably be a little bit further, but that's fine. Things happen for a reason. So,
Mhm. Yeah, and
but
each step that you did probably is leading you to where you are and where you're going.
yeah. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
What what got you into writing? Like, what made you wanna get back into music? Did something inspire you at that time?
So it started in, I want to say, high school. I wasn't writing music in high school, but I had just discovered like, hey, I can kind of sing. So I think the music really got pushed once I started singing singing in high school. Once I got to college, people were telling me like, "Oh, you should write music. You should do more songs." And then I was friends with one of the guys from my high school that came to the college with me. He was also a producer, and he had other friends on campus that were artists as well. So we did a one compilation album we did, and it was a bunch of people from our campus. And I wrote a song, and it was on that album, and it was a nice song. It was cute. But I think once I did that, it was just off and on until I want to say until about 2013. 2013 is when I like seriously got into songwriting. And I wrote another song called Crash Test Dummy. I performed it at Old Miami downtown, and it went over pretty well. I'll probably be re-releasing that soon at some point. But that's when I got back into my writing because I had more confidence in it and I had more faith in it. So I just started from that point on. But yeah, but that's how I got back into it. So it was more so listening to what people were saying and then realizing, well, I have all these thoughts and ideas for a reason. I have all these melodies in my head for a reason. I should probably do something with them. So realizing that I kind of just went on board that way. But yeah,
Those ideas definitely come for a reason. It's not like that recurring thought that keeps coming. It's not just there. There's a reason. It's meant to come through. I can
yeah,
relate to that.
yeah. Because even the fact that I remembered that song from being 11, I'm like, at some point I probably need to do something with that.
Yes, please.
Probably do something if I still remember it. I think I need to do something with it. So, but yeah. Yeah, so that was the original push, but the biggest push was what I told you about at the wedding. The biggest push was COVID. Once COVID hit, and I was there alone with my thoughts and ideas. I wasn't, singing for anybody else. I wasn't doing anybody else's music. It was just sit down and, go over all of your thoughts. And that's when I had that realization again of like, you have all this music in you for a reason. You need to be doing this yourself. And at this point, you're either going to do it or you're not. So I just chose to move forward from that point on. Yeah.
What's your songwriting process? So you have all these thoughts coming through your head. What turns it from that thought into a song?
I have a couple different ways. The main one I fall back on is freehand writing, just writing whatever thought comes to my mind, or I'll take a theme. I'll take a theme and just start thinking about thoughts that have something to do with that theme. Say, for instance, it's heartbreak. I might just start writing down, okay, remembering a time that I was heartbroken. How did it feel? What did that look like? And then maybe I'll start trying to formulate the verses and seeing if it can rhyme in this area or if it has to rhyme. If I do lyrics first, usually I'll do that. If I do, if I go by the music first, a lot of times I'll try to listen to the music and see what the music feels like to me, like what emotion is coming from this song. I might hear a song and I might feel, oh, this feels like being in love and being, just over the hit, like overwhelmed in love, that type of feeling. So I'll sit down and I'll just start writing. Either I'll write something or I'll try to come up with sounds, whatever like sounds or vowels might sound good in a certain area. And then I'll try to see if I can find the words to fit into that so that it all comes together. So it's a couple different ways. I'll either start writing from the music and then I'll formulate the sound, or I'll start writing from the lyrics and then I'll try to find, a melody or sound that will go well with that. But a lot of it just comes from whatever feeling is leading me at the time. And that's what I'll focus on. So, but yeah, just fun songwriting.
Do you find is it healing to write songs?
I feel like it is, especially because I use that as my way of being vulnerable. Um, it's very healing. For instance, the song I have coming out was about, and I think I told you about that too. It was about a
I
situation.
wanted to get into that. Yeah. So go for it.
Yeah, so the song is called Limited Time. It's about a situationship I was in recently, and I had to talk myself out of, and I finally got out of it. So I sat down one night and I just started writing out my thoughts and how I felt, and during the process and what feelings I was having. And me and my brother, because he's a producer and a musician, and he does some of my tracks for me. I went over one day and, we were sitting down working on something else, I believe. And he started playing some of his tracks. And when I heard that track, I was like, I really like this one. And, I started, listening to it, trying to see what it felt like. And when I got home, I felt like it felt like overcoming something, overcoming something. Um, Eventually overcoming something, but I'm telling a story, so I go into detail of you know how everything was, how my thoughts were feeling, how my heart and my mind were going back and forth, and logic didn't make sense anymore, because everybody can relate to being in love and not really thinking with your mind, just thinking with your heart more so, even if it whatever situation isn't that great for you. Logic is telling you this is not great for you, but for some reason you're still sticking around, just out of fear of either being lonely or just, seeing potential in that person. So for me, writing that song, hearing it play back and listening to it over and over, um, even when I get put into a situation like that, again, where it seems like someone is kind of like moving in that direction, I can hear those words in my head and say, wait a minute, I've been through this before. I don't think I want to do this. So a lot of times my music will come back to, like, the lyrics will kind of just come back to me at certain times. And it's like, wow, like I wrote this year, or I'll wrote out something I'll write now. I might have written it years ago, and the lyric will come back to me. I'm like, wow, but the situation I'm going through right now, um, those lyrics are speaking to me right now. And I wrote this years ago. So I know the new song was an example of that. It was something that I used to tell myself, you know, this isn't what I should be doing. You've been here before. You know what this feels like. I'm singing to you, telling you what this feels like. So when you think of even going in that direction, you'll remember this feeling in this song. Because there were times where I had thought about like, maybe I should message that guy or just go on his page, see how he's doing. And then that song would come to my mind. I'm like, but I just wrote a whole song about not, being with this guy. I can't go back. Like,
That's so beautiful that you're like coaching yourself through it, you know?
thank you. It's like it really is my own therapy. It is my own therapy.
How does that feel to put out a song? Like you're being vulnerable in writing it, but then to actually put it out for the world. What's going through your head when that happens?
Ooh, so of course, anxiety. Are people going to like the song? Is it catchy enough? Are people going to understand what I'm talking about? Do I vocally sound good? So all these thoughts go through my head, and just that initial moment of like showing the audience the song and just kind of like okay, I hope you're into it, because this past weekend I debuted the song at the it was the Inkster Summer Music Festival. And I debuted the song there. And, as I'm singing, I'm kind of looking around the audience to see like, okay, are people like bobbing their heads? Are they looking at me? Are they focused? Are they on their phones? Are they like looking somewhere else? So all these things are going through my head as I'm premiering this song. Um, Luckily they liked it. I got pretty good reviews from it. So a lot of people coming up to me afterwards and saying like, oh, when is it coming out? And so it's a lot of anxiety that's built up when you're releasing a song, because it's like, okay, is what I'm giving out right now good enough? You know, but after a while, you have to get to a point where this is something I wrote from the heart, something that helps me, something that I truly like. And whoever appreciates it is going to appreciate it. So whoever my audience is, that's my audience. I can't control that. So,
Yeah,
but
they'll
yeah.
find you. And I think that's beautiful to stay true to yourself because if you don't and you're trying to like please everybody, I don't think you would find it enjoyable anymore.
No, I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. Yeah, and I had been through a situation where I was dealing with some people that wanted to work with me and take me in a certain place, but their whole vision for my brand and their whole vision for me was totally opposite of what I wanted. So of course that didn't last. I ended up getting out of that situation, but um I mean they probably could have did some good things for me, but at the same time it's just it would have irked me. It wasn't authentic and it would have irked me a lot.
Mhm.
Not rest in my soul until I handle this. So yeah.
What is your vision?
So as far as my music, I want people to, and I know this just sounds cliche, but like I want you to feel something from my music. I want you to connect to it some kind of way. Um, Connect to it, whether you like the beat and you like how it feels and if it makes you move, or whether you like the lyrics, whether the lyrics speak to you. I want to connect to my audience, and whoever I can connect to that, you know, those that's my audience. So I want to be able to help other people as well. So that's why I feel like it's important for me to be vulnerable, for me to, address these issues that I'm vulnerable about, because you never know who else is going through that. And if someone else is going through that and they hear my music and they like it and they can connect to it, they're receiving something from it. So they're getting something from my music. So and I'm not saying all of my music is, about learning lessons and it's deep. Most of it is, but like there's some stuff where it's like, no, I'm just having fun. This is a human experience and I'm just singing about it. So I might do a song where, it's more of a dance song or more of a house song, or, at the same time, it's still doing something. You're still connecting to it some kind of way. You're still getting something from it. It's going to either make you feel good, or it's going to make you reflect. It's going to make you do something.
Hmm.
So what I think I want from well, that's what I know I want. That's the vision I have for my music. I want to be able to connect with people, and I want people to be able to get something from it. Whether they're learning something from it, whether it just speaks to them in another way, makes them think differently. That's what I want to do. So
Well, I can tell you that, at least for me, your lyrics connect. Beautiful Solitude. I love that song.
thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Yep.
Yeah. Do you want to share
Yep.
a little bit about that song?
Of course. That song was another situation where the way that came to be, I was very, very depressed. I was at a pretty much a down point in my career. I didn't know, I think I had just auditioned for something and I didn't get it. And I saw somebody else had gotten it. I was kind of upset. But I had to sit and reflect and look at my life. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, what is all this for? I put this work in over here. I've done this, and I'm not getting the things that I really want. And, just show me, what am I supposed to be doing? I ended up taking a nap that day, and I started having a dream. My original dream, I did have a reoccurring dream, but on that particular day, the dream kind of went more into detail. The reoccurring dream was I was on a dock, and it was going out into the ocean, and I was walking on this dock, and for some reason the dock kept getting longer and longer and longer. I would never actually get to the edge of the dock. That was the reoccurring dream. On that particular day, I had that dream, but I was walking to the edge of the dock, and I started seeing boats, and then there was like a flash of me on the boat. There was a flash of me in the water. There was a storm. Everything that I talked about in that song was what I saw in the dream. And when I had that dream, I woke up and I'm like, wow. So I wrote it down, and I even tried to break down, because I write in metaphors a lot. I tried to break down what the words actually meant. And when I sat down, looked at the lyrics to the song, and just literally wrote out what I was feeling, I had to step back and think to myself, because I was like, oh my God, this is a prayer that I've been praying for years. That's all this is. It's a prayer. But it's being sent to me, and I'm making it into a metaphor so people can kind of like take it in a certain way. Um, but that song pretty much was talking about how I was able to pull myself out of a depression. And seeing that kind of showed me that, okay, music is probably my main focus. I do have other gifts and talents, but I feel like music is going to be the thing that's going to catapult me and open up doors for, the other gifts and the other talents that come along. But I feel like music is probably where I'm going to be the most effective. And after that dream and writing that song, it helped me realize that this is the direction I should be going in. And so I put the song out there, and I just hope that the way I wrote the song and then the way that we put the melody together, I came up with a melody and worked with musicians on how to, like, get that melody the way that I wanted it, because I wanted it to feel as close to what I was feeling as possible. I wanted it to feel like you were, staring at the ocean on a dock and just, experiencing all the things that I was experiencing. So that was the reason, like, I wanted to use the guitar and the different sounds and the air and all that going on, because I wanted to paint this picture for you, and have you see what I was seeing. So, um, and then hopefully the song helps people. I have had some people come to me and tell me that, it has helped them. They were able to listen to and feel and understand what I was saying. And that was the point that I wanted to make with that song. So, and like even now, years later after writing that song, I'll be going through something and I'll listen to the lyric and I'm like, wow, this is exactly what that means. I'm like, did I know that when I wrote it? Because I understand it now. So, but yeah, that song is probably that's my baby. because I think it took the most from me to write that song. So, but yeah, Beautiful Solitude. I love that song.
Yeah, it's very it feel like I can feel it when I listen to it, like I'm in it. I feel it, and there's also, like, this major peace with it as well. It's like, "Okay, it's gonna be fine, whatever it is." Like,
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going, beautiful solitude, show me. Like, it's yeah, I it speaks to me, but I've also dealt with depression, so, it speaks to me maybe on a different level than somebody who hasn't experienced the same.
Yeah, and then even new lessons I was learning from it. I wrote it, as a way to overcome depression. But then, just later on in life, just listening to the lyrics, I'm like, this is teaching me how to trust myself because that's one
Mm.
thing I had a problem with was trusting myself. That's why you got the shyness and the insecurity and all of that is because no, excuse me, I didn't really trust myself. And listening to the lyrics one day, I'm like, wow, if I trust my ocean, let the waves take me away, will I be heading to my to the right destination soon? And what that was for me is just, just sitting back. And I'm very spiritual. So I believe in God. Sitting back and just, paying attention to signs and just kind of seeing where I'm being directed, just letting the ocean take me where it needs to go because I was finding out when I was trying to control things myself, I wasn't going anywhere. There were the storms and I was stuck in the same area. But once I started trusting and just kind of letting things go and just paying attention and going with the flow of life, the waters calmed and I started flowing into where I needed to go and started seeing more things in the past that I needed to go. So that's that's what I was going through when I wrote that song. But even now learning new lessons from the song, it's still it's amazing for me. And so I
Can
have a goal to keep writing like that. So, if it's doing that for me, hopefully it can do that for somebody else. So
can you share a little bit more about when you let go of control and just allowed life to open up for you? Can you share, like, an example from that time?
yeah, control, I will say, as I'm trying to think, it might be even like what I'm going through just in this season of my life too. Um,
Yeah, because everything cycles, right? Like, you think you learned the lesson, and then it comes right back. You're like, "Ah, really?"
like even now, just walking in this path because this is the path that feels the best, and things are opening up more, and things are like with the music, like the beginning of the year, I said, I want to be doing festivals. I want to have a band by this particular time because at the beginning of the year, I didn't have a band. I was still performing with other people. It was never the Jen Cole show. It was just, I'm Jen Cole with such and such. And I just started, trusting my instincts, trusting my intuition. And like if intuition told me, hey, just you don't feel like it, but just go to this show tonight, go watch this artist really quick. I go watch the show. I start connecting with other artists there. Next thing you know, I have a gig. Um, that and then just putting the word out that like, hey, I have a band and everything now. I think I had something told me to contact a woman that she has her own band and things like that. But something told me to contact her. Um, about a whole nother a whole different opportunity. And as I started talking to her, something told me like, let her know you have a band. And I started letting her know. She said, really? Because I book people, to go perform at different venues. And next thing you know, I had a gig from that. Um, did the national anthem. Someone told me, hey, go audition to do the national anthem for the Pistons. I went and auditioned. I got it. From that performance, a lady from Ford was sitting in the audience. She found me on Facebook and said, hey, I would love for you to perform at the for a Black History Month, the Ford Ancestry Network. We have this event every year and we want you to sing the national anthem for that. So different opportunities just started coming from me listening to my intuition and just like, hey, just go here or just talk to this person, do that, just trusting my intuition and not doubting it. Um, and just seeing how things were just working out and opening up for me because I was just listening to my intuition. Um, I didn't always do that before because I always thought like, I don't think what I come up with is the best. I should probably ask it for somebody else's advice, or I just didn't trust in my own decision making at one point. You know, and that's what kind of made me shy. That's kind of what made me insecure. But the more I decided to listen to my own intuition, and listen to God, things started opening up for me, and you know I am where I am now, pretty much. And I have so many more places to go. So, but but just learning how to trust. And that song pretty much was about learning how to trust, bring yourself out of depression, and just trusting, like you got this, you can do this. So yeah.
Do you have any advice or tips for people that are like stepping into trusting their intuition? How do they know it's their intuition versus just a random thought?
Hmm. That's something I'm still working on too. Um, it just sometimes it's the way it feels. I don't know if this is the best way to say it. It's the way it feels sometimes. Um, I'm trying to think of a particular time where it just felt right to do something. I think it comes down to the feeling of it. Um, Trying to think. Like I had a situation where I was dealing with um a group of people that I didn't feel like were doing enough for me. And I had everyone else in my ear telling me not to deal with them anymore. But for some reason I just felt like I didn't need it wasn't time to let them go, or it wasn't the moment to do that. And so I stuck forward with these people. And after a while, just letting them know my concerns, because I was afraid of conflict. So finally, I just let them know what my concerns were, let them know what I was feeling. And from that moment on, it just seemed like things just turned around. Like I started getting more opportunities, and they started reaching out and getting more things done for me. Um, but it just came from me not listening to everybody else and just trusting myself. And I just felt that, like, no, I don't need to let this go. I don't. There's something here. Yeah, everyone else is showing me all these different reasons to let it go, but for some reason, I'm just strongly feeling I shouldn't. Um, but that was one situation. But I think, yeah, it just comes down to a feeling. You just have to feel it. So I don't know if that's the best way to say it, but like you're not really gonna get anyone like from the sky, like you need to do this. It's really
There's
just
not like a neon light flashing
like,
pointing this direction.
what it is for that is like just the way things feel and the way things work out. Like because went to this concert, I went to this concert, I didn't feel like, but I went. And then this happened. Like, okay, now it feels right. Something's telling me, go talk to this person. I go talk to this person. It's situations like that because this happens a lot with me. So I think it just comes down to a feeling.
And I feel
Yeah.
like the more you step into and trust your intuition, the easier it is to, and the more those opportunities arise. The communication gets louder, I guess is what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say.
About to say that too. Like it's almost like you feel it more, and you can kind of hear yourself more, like okay, you need to do this. Even getting ready for shows and getting things together, I have a tendency to procrastinate, but like I'll hear the voice telling me like, get up, do this, make sure we do this now. And the fact that I start listening to the voice is why things were getting done the way they should get done. So
Mhm.
listening to myself. That's what it came down to. And the more and more that I do it, the more comfortable with the voice I become. And knowing that, okay, this is the right. And I know I probably sound crazy, like this is the right voice. I'm gonna go with this feeling and this instinct, you know. But it does come with practice. It definitely comes with practice. And I haven't mastered it yet, but I'm getting to the point where I can kind of feel the difference. So
Mhm.
Spent so much time alone so I can learn these things. That's another
Yeah.
important factor. So
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, because you don't have other people's opinions coming in, and the more open you are, the more those can affect you. So, spending that time by yourself and really understanding who you truly are and what's truly important to you, then it's your bond with yourself is so much stronger. So when others are around, it's harder for them to pull you or sway you one direction or the other.
yeah, yeah, that's true. That is 100% true. So yeah, but I had to make an effort to actively find out more about myself. Just and that's when I got more so into my writing things down, going back and looking over the ideas and where my mind was at the time, and you learn a lot about yourself. Um, that and reading about, like I told you about the book that I was reading, The Laws of Human Nature. That kind of gives you a little insight on just how the human brain works, period. And then you can kind of break it down and relate it to, like, okay, well, I tend to do that too, and this is why. I just love finding out about what makes the brain tick and what makes me tick, and but yeah, it's honestly it's a very, very invigorating experience to learn about yourself. And I don't care if it seems selfish. I love it. And I feel like it makes life much easier to do that. So
Yeah, I would almost say it's actually the best thing you can do for other people, that it's not
yeah,
selfish. Because when you're in a better place, that you show up for others the way you show up for yourself. So you got to show up for yourself first.
yeah, that is true. That's true. Yeah. So I just had to make an active, I had to be active about doing that. And
Mhm.
that's when I started having these, realizations and, finding out more about who I was.
Mhm.
I really couldn't tell you who I was years ago. I really couldn't. But yeah,
And self-inquiry is what got you to know who you are, who Jen is.
yeah, yeah, that is true. Yeah, but it's
What
a great.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I said, but I was just saying, I love the experience. I love the journey. Yeah, I
Yeah, good because it's lifelong. Once you open that door, oh, it never closes.
never closes. But inspiration of there being always something new to learn and experience, and so I do like that. And
Keeps
then
it
even
interesting.
to other people, and yeah.
Mhm. Well, we're getting to our time. I have a few final questions.
Okay.
What
So yeah,
drives you?
after going through COVID and that whole experience, and writing Beautiful Solitude, and getting to a better place in who I am, what drives me is the need to establish who I am, as a person. Growing up, and I don't want to blame it on them, but growing up, I had kind of a sheltered life. Um, I kind of was told what was good, what to think, what I probably should be doing. So now as an adult, I'm going through this stage of finding myself. And the more I'm getting into doing that and studying and figuring these things out, the more it drives me and the more exciting it becomes. And just seeing what I can do. Like, what is my ultimate potential? And I think that is a question in my mind. And that's another thing that kind of keeps me going. Like, well, what more can I do? How much more potential do I have? Can I even do this? Let's see. Because going through nowadays, like getting booked and doing shows, I'm realizing years ago I would want these things, and now that I have them, it's like, well, really, all I had to do was just either ask or go out and find something, or search for a name, search for a contact, send my information, and next thing you know, I'm on a show. So it's just like it just took action to do these things. So now seeing that that's all it takes, it's like now I'm obsessed with it. It's like now I just want to see how far this goes. So it's coming to my fullest potential. I just want to see what that is. So I'm just curious. But yeah, and discovering myself.
What's next for Jen Cole?
What's next? I will be releasing an EP in the fall. And I'm working on, once we get that going and we start, promoting that, my ultimate goal, I want to tour the world. I got a taste of that back in December when we went to Belgium. But now I want to do it in my own name, my own band, my own name, my own identity. This is who I am, Jen Cole, and I am, in Milan singing to people, or I'm in Australia, and I'm able to spread my message around the world. So I think that is my one of my biggest goals right now is getting to that point. So but yeah, but right now, yep, the EP, I have shows booked and working on an album, and so right now that's next.
One step at a time.
Step at a time. It truly is that, one step at a time. It truly is that. It's like once you do this, it's like, oh wow, now this opportunity is here because I did this. Now this opportunity is here because I did that. So, it's like a snowball effect. So
Mhm.
I, that within itself is exciting, and that's kind of what drives me to kind of keep seeing what my potential is, what I can do, what effect can I have on people.
Yeah, and it's
So
really limitless.
it is, yeah. I'm interested to see where it ends up.
Me too. I'll be following.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
What do you
Yeah.
wish more people knew about you?
Now that's a good question. That is a good question. um, really just want people to know that I'm down to earth, I'm approachable, I'm vulnerable, go through the same thing you guys go through. This is my way of this is my therapy. This is how I deal with it, you know. Um, but I'm the same as everyone. It's just this is the way I do things. This is where my therapy comes from. This is just who I am. So yeah, I do want them to know that I am, vulnerable and down to earth, and I want them to get that from my branding because that's me. I'm the girl next door. I feel like, even down to my name. My name is actually Jennifer, but most people call me Jen. It's an endearing term. It's so most people know me as that. It's comfortable, so that's why I figured, I'll just name myself Jen. Everybody knows me as Jen. It's comfortable. So I want people to be able to be comfortable with me. So yeah.
Well, I certainly feel that from the moment I met you. So
Yeah.
it is apparent.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
What is your current mantra or motto?
Hmm. My current mantra is funny. I was about to make a post. I haven't put it up yet, but I took a quote from Beautiful Solitude, and I was going to use that on a picture of me singing in the background. Um, and it was a simple quote. It was just, can't no army or no navy save me from my own fears. And that's something relevant now because it's like I'm not going to get out of any situation if I don't try to get out of it myself on my own accord. Um, if I'm tired of being in a certain mindset, a certain position, I have to get myself out of that. I can't sit around and wait for someone else to, grab me by the hand and do certain things for me. And then even down to my career, I have to be the one to move forward with things. I have to be the one to keep up with how things are going. Because if I don't do it, nobody's going to do it. I can't sit around and wait for a savior to come and like, hey, I'm gonna take your career this far. Like these are things that the work that I have to put in. I have to do it. If I have an issue, if I'm depressed, or if there's something mentally going on with me, these are things that I need to deal with. Like even, during the depression, I made the choice to get a coach, what do you call those people? They kind of help you, a life coach. It was my decision to go get a life coach, to go to therapy, to do these things, because this is going to help me in the long run. I could have either done that or just sat around and still been depressed and not done anything, waiting for somebody to come save me from it. When in reality, I just needed to move forward on my own. So that lyric from the song holds dear to me because it's so true. And part of what drives me is being amazed at how much is being accomplished because I chose to just do and move forward. So, but yeah. Yep. So can't no army or no navy save me from my own fears.
If you could tell everybody in the world one thing, what would it be?
Hmm. Wow, these are good questions. If I could tell anyone in the world one thing, hmm, hmm, I would say trust yourself. A lot of problems are rooted from people not trusting themselves. The big lesson I'm learning in life right now. Um, Being able to trust in what you do and trust yourself. Um, you don't have to depend on other people's influences. You don't have to, feed into what other people feel about you or say or think about you. You trust yourself, therefore you start to know yourself better and you're more confident because of that. Um, so I would definitely say, because that's the lesson I'm going through in life right now, is to just trust yourself. Trust yourself. A lot of people have a hard time doing that. So
And how can people connect with you if they want to connect?
if they want to connect, I've kept it easy for everyone. It's just I'm on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and it's at Jen Cole. So at JYNNCOLE. But all streaming, well, all the social media websites, you'll find me at Jen Cole.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jen. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here today and to be open and vulnerable and share your story. I know I got wisdoms of nugget from this. Wisdoms of nugget? What am I saying? Nuggets of wisdom. Oh my gosh.
I get it. Wisdoms of nuggets.
I I got I definitely took something away from this. So I appreciate you for taking the time and sharing your story.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. Like, this is such a cool platform to be on. Just the themes of this platform, I love all about this show. So thank you for having me. I definitely appreciate that. Thank you. It's an
Thank
honor to.
you. Yes. The honor was mine as well. And if you enjoyed this episode or found value in it, I invite you to leave a 5-star review, or share with a friend. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. Thank you, beautiful human, so much for helping spread the word. Blessings to you. Until next time.